Welcome to the Art of Simple Hypnosis with Rob de Groof. Rob's goal is to keep hypnosis simple and uncomplicated, fast, powerful, and effective techniques. In this show, Rob talks with leaders of the hypnosis industry on how to keep hypnosis simple and effective on the therapeutic side as well as on the business side. Enjoy, learn, and by all means, keep it simple.
So, Scott, welcome to the Art of Simple Hypnosis. This show is all about telling our viewers how we can keep hypnosis simple, but also to learn about the mistakes that we made. Everybody has made mistakes in this business. So what was the biggest mistake that you made in your hypnotherapy business, whether it was on a hypnosis side or maybe on a business side?
The biggest mistake I made with a client that comes to mind was a 14-year-old girl. And, she had a little bit more than normal 14-year-old girl problems, but, and she was coming to me for, legitimate issues and, and trauma and stuff like that. And her mom said to me after our second or third session, her mom said, "Look, I'm not worried about it. I'm not freaking out about it. But just talking about how things are going with my daughter and all that, I know she smokes pot, but she's not doing it too much or anything like that. It's just a little bit with her friends." And I was early in my career and I answered the question, and that violated my client's confidentiality.
Oh.
And I said to the mom, I said, just a little bit. I wouldn't be worried about it either. And the mom snapped and said, "I knew it," and tricked me.
Yep.
And the mom was an attorney, so she was good at that kind of ambush move. And I walked right into it, and I violated my client's confidentiality. And I knew that I had just really hurt my ability to help this kid who needed my help. So I would say that was a real learning moment for me.
Yeah, I think, it was like an honest mistake, because the way that she presented it was like, I already know it, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, she intentionally manipulated me, but I allowed myself to be manipulated instead of just sticking to my boundaries. And I I prioritized in that moment having rapport with the mother over my client.
Over the client. Yeah, I think, like you said, it was in the beginning of your career. It's like a beginner's mistake, but once you made it now, of course, now.
And it created a policy for me where I tell every time I'm working with a kid, I make sure the parent hears me say this and the kid hears me say it at the same time. I said, "Look, in a month or in 2 weeks or something, your parent cares about you. And so they're going to ask me a question, and they're going to say, 'How's it going with Bill, Bobby, Sarah, whatever?' And they're going to forget this question in the moment. And they mean well. And I'm going to tell you right now, the only thing I ever say to parents is, you've got a great kid there, and I'm really happy with our progress." And that is the only answer I will ever give unless I believe you are going to commit suicide. And if I think you're going to hurt yourself, I'm going to do something.
Yeah.
Other than that, the only thing I will ever say is, you've got a really great kid there, and I'm really happy with our progress. Yeah. And then invariably a parent asks me, "How's it going?" And I say that, and they go, "Oh yeah, right." And they're okay with it because
they're prepared.
Yeah,
of course. Now they're prepared, and even if they forgot it, but then the moment you answer this, then they remember it, and then everything is clear. So they are not offended that you are not giving information, and everything is clear.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So what was the best decision that you ever made for your hypnotherapy business?
The best decision I ever made for my hypnotherapy business was advice I got from Richard Nongard, which was, you need to charge at least twice as much. And I just hadn't raised my rates in like 10 years. And I live in a very affluent area. And Richard Nongard said, "Look, you're at like the average price in America, and you're in a very expensive neighborhood. If you doubled your price, people would just start paying you cash." And this was a long time ago. I was charging $125. And so I switched to $200. And as soon as I did, all my clients just started paying me in cash. And they just started handing me two $100 bills. And it was a real wake-up call that I could charge as much as I wanted. And so I obviously raised my price again, over the subsequent years.
Yeah.
But that advice of, I was trying to just be average, and that's, wanting to no longer be average was a big thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah. We had this discussion this weekend when I was doing my hypno fasting training online with some people. We were discussing the price setting of the program, and there were some that were really like with a very low price, and they say, yeah, but in my area. And then a lot of people, they and it was like 55 pounds. So it's
Wow.
yeah, that's nothing. And I was also like, wow, you're and that's one of the things that I tell my students in Belgium, the newbies who do the certification training. I always tell them, when people are looking for a therapy, they're not looking for the cheapest one. They're just, and if you're the cheapest one, they probably not gonna take you serious. And most of my students, they believe me when I say something like that, and some they try and they think, oh, maybe we go lower, and then everybody is coming to us, but they don't see clients, and
It doesn't work that way.
no, it doesn't work that way. It's you don't have to be the most expensive, but you can't be the cheapest one. So and sometimes the one who is the most expensive gets the clients, because people take
when I used to do calls with prospective clients, I don't do those anymore. But when I did those, they would say, how much do you cost? And I would tell them my price, and they go, wow, I'm shopping around, and that's not as, other people are more affordable in this area. And I said, oh, there's absolutely some great hypnotherapists that are, less expensive than I am. And in fact, I'm happy to recommend a few. If you're looking to save money, I can give you the names of a couple of hypnotherapists that cost half what I do, who are fantastic. And they all say, well, why do you charge more and they charge less? I say, well, because I'm busy at this price. So obviously enough people think I'm worth it. And that's all. They go, well, why are they less? I go, I don't know. It's their decision. You'll have to ask them. And most of them would then say, no, I don't need the number. I'll just go with you.
Yeah, because you're honest, and you just say, yeah, I can afford it to have my price at that level, because people, my schedule is full. People book me with me anyway. And when you say something like that, and I think when you went the other way around and you say that's because I'm better, then they're gonna be offended maybe, or not gonna believe you. And now you were honest. You just said, okay, I can do it. People still book me, and then it's a kind of a trust, and then they will book you.
And then when people ever ask for discounts, I always give the same answer, which is, I don't offer discounts and I don't negotiate with my clients, because I don't want this relationship to start with a negotiation, because that means there will be a winner and a loser. Yep. And if you beat me in the negotiation, you don't want to work with the hypnotist that you just beaten in a negotiation.
No, that's not a good.
And if I beat you in the negotiation, you resent me for being better than you at debating. And so all of a sudden it puts something between us. So I just refuse to do that, because either you want to work with me or you don't. But either way, I want to make sure you're successful, and whoever you work with is set up to succeed. And that would set up for you to fail. And I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, you've thought this through. And that helps them understand that this is not, my first client.
Yeah. So let me come back on something that you said. So you don't do talks with potential clients anymore.
No.
Is there a particular reason why you don't do that anymore?
I'm busy.
Busy.
I don't have to, is honestly the answer.
Okay.
Might I do something that's a minute or two long, or, a phone call? Sure. But I stopped answering my phone 3 years ago. I stopped answering my voicemail 2 years ago. So I haven't listened to voicemail in 2 years. And my outgoing voicemail message says, I don't listen to these.
Yeah, that's clear.
Don't leave a message.
Don't leave a message. Yeah, that's clear. Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. Here's where you go to get an appointment. We can talk then. If it's an emergency, call the police. I'm not here for emergencies. No. I'm here for our scheduled appointment times. And I tell all my clients, when you are in the room with me, I give you 100% of my available attention. I do the best I can to be completely present with you. That means I'm not thinking about the phone call I just got. It means I'm not, I don't have an itinerary or an agenda of what needs to happen before or after this session. I'm with you. And that also means I might run 5 minutes late with you and bump into the next client's time. And I don't do the thing where I say, hey, we're making great progress, but it's been 55 minutes, so get out.
No.
I make it all flexible, and I tell all my clients, if I was going to see a professional, I would want them to optimize for my outcome rather than minutes on a clock.
Yeah.
And I think that shows respect for all of you. So if you are ever waiting 5 minutes in my waiting room, and I don't want people to wait, but if anyone's waiting, it's because I made the decision to commit to a person's well-being, and over the long haul, that's best for everybody. And everyone gets that, because everyone's felt rushed and like forced out the door, and no one enjoys that. And so just understanding that once you sit in, it's a couch, but once you sit on the couch across from me, this is your time. And the two of us are just going to get to where we need to get to today. And if it takes 40 minutes, we'll be done in 40 minutes. It takes an hour and 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
But usually it's, 50 to 60 minutes.
Yeah. It's people are paying for a result, not for minutes on the clock. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's clear. Okay. So, the name of the show is The Art of Simple Hypnosis. Is there any advice that you can give the viewers to keep hypnosis simple? Because that's my goal, to keep hypnosis as simple as possible. I don't like overcomplicated stuff. So do you have advice on this?
I was really fortunate that the woman that Roy Hunter introduced me to, who passed away many years ago now, she didn't teach me the names of techniques. She didn't teach me the names of processes. She just taught me what worked and how to do it. And she was one of those people who had been around forever and knew everybody. She was just cool. And so I went to my first hypnosis conference in a year after she had trained me, something like that. And everyone said, hey, do you know NLP? Do you know NLP? And I said, what's NLP? And at the time, NLP was really big. It was in the 90s. And they were like, oh my God, it's the most important, powerful stuff. And I was like, I've gotten ripped off. And they're like, do you know timeline work? And I was like, what's timeline work? And they're like, do you know?
Yeah, because you didn't know the terms and the names and the.
And so I signed up for all these classes at the conference, like for all these post-conference things and all these additional things. And I spent all this money, and I went to all these rooms. And I was like, I know all of this. I know everything they're talking about. I just didn't know it was a cool name. And that really helped me get to where, and this goes to the answer to your question, which is how to make it simple. Is there are a lot of people, like Rob and I, who get paid to teach you stuff. And so it makes sense for us to put names on those things and put labels on those things so we can help differentiate between one class and another.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. There's utility in that. But your clients don't know any of it. And your clients don't know what timeline work is, nor do they care. Your clients don't care about regression to cause versus parts therapy versus future pacing. What they need is a moment in the session where they feel either a catharsis, like a release, or a belief change where they say, this is going to work. There's a moment, there's an aha, there's a thing, and that's it. That's the session. And whatever you need to do to dress that up is what you need to do to dress that up. And what I've found is the longer someone's doing the work, the less it takes the hypnotist to get the client into that moment. It's, like in sports, the veteran is not as fast as the rookie. The young kids coming in can, run and jump and do all the things faster, but the veteran really gets it done because they know where to be and how to do things. Yeah. So then how to make things easy. And I think one of the reasons I was excited to do this interview is because of the title and because of this idea of helping encourage people to strip things away and to make things as simple as possible. And there's a real elegance to that, that you have to earn, and it takes time, and you don't have to rush that. But for me now, my work is very naked. It's very clean. And I think it's more enjoyable for me that way.
Yeah. Okay. So in the simple question round, when I asked the question of the favorite induction, you said I don't do a formal induction. I just say close your eyes. What's actually is also an induction when you say close your eyes. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I remembered it was at I think the UK Hypnosis Convention. There was this show hypnotist, and he was his presentation was about the fact that he's not using inductions during his show, and then he showed some videos, and the first video was he telling his volunteers, go and sit on that chair, close your eyes and relax. And I was thinking, that's an induction, guy. You just did an induction, so everybody's using inductions. So why did you change on that? Because it's obviously working for you, but was there a certain moment in time that you said, okay, this is enough for me, and I'm just going to do it like this, or?
No, I think it evolved. I think so much of the work that I've done in my career has been in clinical environments, real treatment facilities of drug and alcohol dependency, dental offices, doctors' offices, things like that, where I'm actually in their office, not in mine. And so I go in and I'm part of their team. And when you're part of a treatment team, you need protocol. Because you need the other people on the team to know what to expect.
Yeah.
And so like when I was doing the dental work, the dental hygienist, well, it was more the dental assistant. The dental assistant and I had a good flow, and they're very process oriented. And so I worked, really strictly to hit the process that they were ready for. And even when it was, less efficient than what was needed, because, just it's choreography, it's dancing, and having that work with them needed to be done in that environment. But then I also had my office at the same time. And so I was always looking to shave time off things without it being demonstrative. Like, a good rapid induction is a great thing, but you can't do a hand drop in a doctor's office. Like, it doesn't fit well. And that kind of congruence really matters. You need to have your process and who you are and all these things, when they all line up, it's like when your suit matches and it looks good versus when your shoes don't match the suit. And the more everything matches, the less work you have to do. And so I was always looking for ways to shorten things, because in those clinical offices, every minute counts, but you can't do anything rapid. And so I started playing with if I could do all, shorten things. And actually, one of the things that really happened was I was in the dentist's office, and there was a patient that was resisting the anesthesia, the gas and the injection, full sedation. It wasn't just, a shot in the tooth. It was for surgery. And so they said, Scott, can you come in and assist the anesthesiologist, who I had met but never worked with? And I walked in, and I just did, this client was contrarian and agitated and trying to keep control, but they were trying to sedate a person who's trying to stay in control. And so I just did the whole, try to keep your eyes open, don't close them yet. And, that whole thing where I was pushing eventually you are going to close your eyes, and doing a bunch of embedded commands. And I just started that way. And I said, relax, we're not going to do any of that yet. This is just you and I. And I just talked for maybe a minute, and they were out. And then they did the gas, and then they did the whole thing. And that was the first moment where the staff looked at me and they were like, are you like, that was next level magic. We've seen you do pain control. We've seen you do all this stuff, but you didn't do an induction. And I was like, no, you don't need them. And so that allowed me to start doing more and more time efficient things in that office. So as soon as you get the person to do what you say, you've established the right authority and trust, and they are reducing external stimuli to focus and follow your directions, you got them.
Yeah, then they are where you want them, of course.
Yeah. I mean, really, what you need is compliance more than you need anything else.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's really important. Yeah, great. So yeah, every time when I have a guest in the show, we talk about a certain topic, and yeah, the topic that I want to discuss with you is conferences. So yeah, in particular, HypnoThoughts. Yeah, the conference that you organize. So there will be a next one this year. I think it's July. It's a bit
It is
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah.
It's a little
So
earlier because so many stage hypnotists have the college circuit in August,
oh yeah.
and just moving it earlier saves that.
Yeah, yeah. For us, it's for the Europeans, it's not that good, especially for the for us in Belgium because it's holiday period, so flights are much more expensive. But yeah, okay.
We heard. We didn't know
Yeah,
that when
yeah,
we did that.
it's different. It's a
Yeah.
big difference. Yeah. So, what is the status for this year? Do you have some new things, some things? Because I can imagine a lot of our viewers they know HypnoThoughts, they visited. But one of the things that I also want to I encourage my students from all over the world to go to conferences. Most of course my students they mostly go to the Europe. I had already some students joining me to Las Vegas, but I think for me a conference is like hanging out with the family, joining, being together with people who are in the same profession. They don't look funny when you say when you talk about
Right.
hypnosis and things that you did or whatever. So and then whenever I come home from a conference, my head is filled with ideas and things that can grow my business. So I think it's really important also for everybody out there to join conferences. So
Yeah.
maybe you can tell something about HypnoThoughts this year.
Yeah, well, first I'll say that conferences changed my career for sure. Going to conferences, I've been to almost 70. Like I've been to a lot of conferences. I was going to many a year for quite a few years, starting in the 90s. And so I've been to a lot of conferences, and yeah, it creates relationships. It allows you to see how other hypnotists work. And like I'm alone in my office with my clients, and you're alone in your office with your clients, which means I'm the best hypnotist in my office forever. Like I'm always the best hypnotist in my building. It's fantastic, and it's easy because of that to get a real God complex and an ego, and it's also easy to get lonely, and get this isolation where you start believing all the great feedback from your clients, and you forget that everyone else gets it too, and so it's easy for me to walk into any conference. I'm the best hypnotist in the building because I'm always the best hypnotist in my building. And then to see other hypnotists, and it puts me in a place where I can be more receptive and be more open and question myself, and then learn and talk and actually find out why people are doing things the way they are. And so that's one of the reasons why we built HypnoThoughts around the idea of community and creating those moments and creating time to make friends. And that's why we buy lunch for everybody. We want to make sure that everyone has a chance to accidentally meet someone that can change their life. Yeah, to your point, we try to experiment with things every year. One of the things that when we created the conference, we knew we didn't know what we were doing. And so we set it up one way the first year, and then we learned from some mistakes and we changed some stuff the next year. And the same thing happened for a few years. And right around year 4 or 5, we had it dialed in pretty well. We'd made enough mistakes and learned from them that we had a good thing. And we said, okay, let's see what we can tweak and what we can get away with and what won't work. And some stuff definitely has not worked, but some stuff has, and it's been fantastic. And one of the things that we have changed for this year is we've added a lot more 4-hour talks. So we've doubled the number of half-day talks that you get for free. So when you come to the conference, our 1, 2, and 4-hour talks are all included in the registration. Which is different than the other conferences. They often charge more for the 2, 3, or 4-hour talks, and just the 1 hour is free. But we like the idea of you can just go to whatever's exciting, whatever's interesting. In part, actually, because when I went to that first conference, I paid extra for a bunch of stuff I didn't need, and that sucks. And so this year, one of the things I really am pushing for is longer form content. So our pre and post conference workshops, we have more like 3 and 4 day classes that we've really almost never done before. We have quite a few of them. And during the conference, we have more half-day conference or talks. So I think what that does is it really helps people who are experienced, right? You know, people who've been doing the work for 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, who don't need a 1 hour talk on something, but they want to get into the nuance and the deep stuff. It creates an opportunity for that to happen. So that's the big shift that we've put into this year's conference.
Yeah, I think it's especially a conference like HypnoThoughts with so many participants. There will be newbies in the business, but also people who are in the business for like 20 or over 20 years. So
Yeah.
they have different needs, of course. They have different interests in what's going on. So and going into a 4-hour training or class is always you get, because a 1 hour is it's only 50 minutes, and I know it from being a presenter. Sometimes it's really hard to get your information inside those 50 minutes because people want to ask questions. And then again, when you have like a bigger time slot, you really can give value to the and then when everything is included in the price, that's great, of course. So people just arrive and they know beyond of the things that they will buy in the dealer room, but they know what the conference will cost them, because they go in and they know I can just go wherever I want.
And one of the things that we push a lot is, I mean, you're right, the 50-minute time slots. You know, I've been a presenter at a bunch of conferences, and there are some topics you can absolutely cover in 50 minutes, right? For sure. And there's some that you just can't, like it doesn't fit. And I've been an attendee, a student in workshops at conferences that are 1 hour long, and I hear the presenter say, well, you can't really teach anything in an hour, so this is just going to be a commercial for my 3-hour talk. And we refuse to allow that at HypnoThoughts Live. And I tell all the presenters, anybody who does that is going to be not invited back next year. And I can create lasting change in my clients in an hour, and so can you, and so can a lot of other people. So if you can help a person change in an hour, you can talk about it in an hour. Now, some things take more time for sure, and we want to create that. But I want to make sure that those 1 hour talks are, useful. And it's so cool to, have the conversations with a bunch of presenters, because we have, a couple hundred presenters, and to say, you can do this talk in an hour, and they say, yeah. And then they get in there and they do a great talk. And the presenters have really bought in to this idea of, you can't have a commercial as your talk. Your talk has to be educational, not promotional. And because we've pushed that culture, anybody who breaks that really stands out negatively. And people call them out on it, and they say, this wasn't a class, this was a commercial. And so then we can intervene and do stuff about it. So it means that whatever you're looking for, a 1 hour, a 4 hour, a 3-day, whatever it is, if you know what you want to find, you can find it at HypnoThoughts.
Yeah, I think that's really important, that people go into whatever it is, a 1 hour, 2 hour, or 4 hour talk, and that they really get value. If it's just a pitch for another training, then they don't. It's just a waste of time. Then of course they just can go to somebody's website and read the landing page and the sales page over there. So people want value. That's good.
And of course, there's times where there's a person giving a 1 hour talk and they have a 2-day post conference on it. Of course, that's a reasonable thing to have happen. And they won't be able to dive as deep in the 1 hour, of course. But when those things happen, I say, look, you need to figure out what they're going to take away. You need to be able to give them a thing that they can walk away with, not just a desire to take a 2 hour. And because they will create resentments if they don't take that lesson.
Yeah, yeah. I attended also quite some conference, and then I attended some talks, and even it's just one thing that you can take away, then you have something like, okay, this was worth my time, and that's good that I learned something, I got an idea, or I got something. And when it's just a sales pitch, then yeah, then you don't have that feeling, then you leave without that feeling. And I think that's really
Exactly.
important. And I think the HypnoThoughts attendees, they already know it, that they don't are not going to visit sales pitch after sales pitch after sales pitch, because of the culture that you established on that conference.
Yeah, I've got a great relationship with a lot of other conference organizers. Just some of them I'm on their board, some of them I've just been an attendee for many years, and some of them are just friends. And one of them, who's a great guy, said, "You have retrained the industry with HypnoThoughts Live in terms of what to expect, and you are disrupting things, I think, for the better,
Mm.
because you are not letting presenters get away with being lazy, and you are allowing new presenters to come in, and you are doing a lot of things that we haven't done in a long time, and your audience now expects it from everyone, and so it's forcing us to make changes just to keep up."
Mm.
And that was like the best compliment I could get.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, it will. The other conference that people, because yeah, you have the most attendees from all the conferences in the world. So the ones who are going to other conferences, most of them have probably visited HypnoThoughts once or twice in their career. So yeah, they have this expectation, and they go to another conference, and when they see all sales pitches over there, they will be disappointed, and they will
Yeah.
call out on it. So yeah, that's normal. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I already said it is the biggest convention in the world. Do you have an idea from how many countries you have visitors in the history of HypnoThoughts? Have you ever tracked it? Because
We tracked it a few years ago. I mean, maybe 4 years ago. So it's been quite some time, and it was more than 20 countries
mm,
4 years ago. So I'm sure it's in a single year.
yeah,
So I'm sure it's significantly more than that now.
mm,
When we had the website hypnothoughts.com, I was really excited one day. It was ridiculous, but for some reason there we got all 7 continents. So we got Antarctica, which is a hard one to get. Um, and but I had through IP address you can just
well,
what countries hit,
mm,
and a guy popped up from Antarctica, and so I contacted him, and I was like, "What?" And he was he's some researcher down there who
yeah.
also had thought hypnosis was a neat hobby, and so he logged on 10 or 20 times, and so we hit all 7 continents, which was like this huge moment for me. That was only important to me, but it was fun.
I can imagine that's a fun fact to tell about, yeah, to talk about, yeah, indeed.
Probably the only hypnosis website to ever get all 7
All
continents.
7 yeah, I can imagine that
Yeah.
not much will get Antarctica. So
Yeah.
so is there for the ones who never been to HypnoThoughts, is there anything that you can give them as an advice, or because I know when the first time I arrived there, for me it was kind of special. I arrived, it was not my first time in Las Vegas, but my first time in HypnoThoughts. I arrived after like a 14-hour flight, and
I
I was
remember this.
waiting at the airport, and there was a guy waiting next to me for the shuttle bus to the Orleans, and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, you're Rob the Groof," and I said, "Yeah, I bought your book," and I said, "Oh, you're that one guy who bought my book," because
Right.
I had my mentalism for hypnotherapist. I launched it actually at HypnoThoughts,
I
and
remember.
some people they bought it up front, and he was one of the guys. So for me, it was like, okay, great. And but I can imagine that I already know a lot of I knew a lot of people who were there, so I had my contacts there. So, but I can
Yeah.
imagine for some people
Mhm.
visiting HypnoThoughts for the first time, and they don't know a lot of people there, it can be like a bit overwhelming, because it's quite a big building. It's especially for the ones coming from Europe, and it's there are so many rooms. I had a hypnosis day in Belgium, and my students were complaining that that I had 3 rooms and that they had to make decisions. And I said,
Yeah.
okay, when you go to Las Vegas or HypnoThoughts, you have to make 12. You can choose from 12 different rooms every
Yeah.
hours. That's making decisions. 3 rooms
Yeah.
is nothing. So
Yeah,
maybe you
gotta
can
say
give
no
some
to 11
advice
things.
for the new visitors to make it. What can they do? What is there a way to make it easier for them to make it
Yeah,
like?
and I'll say this is true for all conferences, but especially true for HypnoThoughts Live. And this is not an original sentence at all, and many people have heard this before, but the best education happens outside the classroom. The conversations you're having in the hallways, the conversations you're having at a vendor booth, the conversations you're having at lunch or at a bar or whatever, that's where the depth is. And so I really see the classes as opening loops, right? They're starting and seeding conversations and creating topics to have long form, like intimate conversations. And I remember an IMDHA conference in Florida 12 years ago, a long time ago, maybe more, maybe like 15 years ago. It's a long time ago. And I was sitting at a table, and I won't say the name. Well, I will say the names of the people, whatever. It was Michael Watson. It was Michael Elner. It was, oh geez, what's her name? She's from South Africa. Claudia Klein. Claudia and Dan Cleary. And they were all having this conversation and debating and wonderful conversation. And I was just sitting there listening and just watching this happen and hearing these people talk about things that was like real. There's an American phrase called inside baseball, which means that you have to love baseball to know what people who love baseball are talking about. And because all the weird specific statistics and whatever, no one else cares about but baseball fans. And it was that. It was real deep hypnosis conversations. And I was just sitting there absorbing it all. And I was fortunate that when I was coming up in the industry, most of the big hypnosis conferences were on the East Coast of the United States, and I'm on the West Coast. So just traveling means I get a 3-hour buffer on my bedtime. So I could stay up late and be alert and comfortable better than the people who were on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I was in college. So I was used to staying up late, and I could drink. And so I had a better drinking tolerance and a better stay up late tolerance. So I could just start drinking and hanging out and talking with Shawn Michael Andrews or Roy Hunter or whoever it is. And by the time, 1 a.m. came around for them, it's like 10 p.m. for me. It's nothing. Yeah. But they're getting awake tired, and fresh. They've had a couple drinks, and now they're telling me stuff that they wouldn't normally say. And so I learned so much about the profession and so much about what it takes to be a professional and the pitfalls and the successes and the secrets just from that. And sometimes I was engaging in the conversation, and sometimes I was just this nobody fly on the wall. And sometimes I was one of the most important people in the conversation, depending on what year it was and what was going on in the stage of my career. But the ability to be around people who are having conversations that you're not yet ready to have, but hearing conversations that are like above you or out of your league right now is a really, really good thing. Yeah. And you'll get to hear, I heard Jerry Kine and Michael Elner debating regression to cause. And, and it was the 3 of us. It was Jerry Kine, Michael Elner, and me. And like, where the hell do I get to sit at that table? But I did. And they were going back and forth, and they kept pointing at me as an example just to be an asshole. And you sit there and you go, oh my gosh, these are 2 people who have helped thousands of people, and they disagree on the most fundamental thing. And those are the kinds of conversations you can only have at a conference with everybody from around the world in attendance.
Yeah, it's actually the same advice that I give my students when I talk about conventions. I always tell them the presentations are good, but in the evening at the bar, that's where you learn stuff. That's where
Yeah.
I learned it before I was in hypnosis. I was an entertainer in magic. When you go to magic conventions, those magicians, they will never tell the entire secret in the presentation, but at night in the pub, that's
Yeah.
where the secrets are. Yeah, then you can and then especially when and like you said, when you're young, you can stay up a bit longer, you can drink a bit more, and then you learn stuff, of course. Yeah, that's right, very good advice, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're presenting, when you're a presenter and you're in front of the room and you've got 50 people in your room, you're ready to be that. You're prepared to be that. But when you're in the bar or when you're in a hall and you're just talking, you kind of can't help but share a little bit more than you would, because it's just person to person. And one of the great things about the conference is everybody who's at the conference has dedicated their career to helping people. So everybody there is the kind of person who wants to help. And that's a wonderful environment. Just knowing that everybody you meet, everyone you shake hands with, everyone you sit next to has made a commitment to help strangers. And if you're the kind of person who's easily intimidated by large crowds or nervous or any of that stuff, this is as safe a community and as welcoming an environment as we can create. And we actually put a lot of work into helping that be as easy as possible for all of you.
Yeah, that's the good thing. What I the feeling that I have even more than with a magic convention is that when you're at a hypnosis convention, everybody is ready to share. Everybody is ready to give you advice, to talk about stuff. I remembered so many conversations I had in a hallway, in a bar, where people just said, "Oh, maybe you can do this," or we have a topic, but most of them, they just say, "Oh yeah, I did it this way, or I took that approach on a business level, but also on a therapy level." So you learn so much that, and that's why whenever I leave a convention, I once made a mistake. I attended the UK hypnosis convention, and one day later, I went off for like 1 month. I had a flight to Thailand to go on a holiday. And I'm never going to do that again, because my head was so filled with ideas. And then I was on a holiday, and actually, on a holiday, I want to let go of the work, but I had so many ideas, and I was so like, oh no, I have to work this out, I have to do this. So I'm not going to do that anymore, because you can get so, and one idea can change your entire business. And
you
that's
get so energized, right? Like just being in the room and seeing. Like, it's one thing, like as a hypnotist, we're all so isolated, in our careers, that when you go see another hypnotist who's, you can say, okay, that person's like me. Maybe there's some people up here, maybe there's some people down there, like just in terms of like experience and training and things like that. But this person's, we're about the same. And look at what they're doing with their career. I should be able to do that. And so you can go talk to them and you say, what are you doing differently than me? And then they tell you, and you're excited to take that back and implement it into your practice. And to have that opportunity to see a person who's doing a thing you want to be able to do, have them tell you how to do it. And maybe it's not even technique. Maybe it's, we've got a bunch of people who talk about like business systems stuff and how to actually succeed in the work outside of the client sessions, because there's a lot that goes into that a lot of young hypnotists don't know.
No. Sometimes it's even more important. I remember, I think it was the last or the one before at HypnoThoughts. We were at the swimming pool, I was there with Carl Smith, and he said, yeah, I have a training tomorrow. If you want, just hop in and then come and say hello. And the moment I entered his training, it was somewhere in the afternoon, and he was just writing. And I tell it to my students all the time, because that's an aspect that they sometimes forgot. And at the moment, at that time, he was just writing on the board the words businessman, marketeer, and therapist. And he said, first place, I'm a marketeer or businessman, I don't know the order, and at the last place, actually, I'm a therapist, because you can be the best therapist in the world. If nobody knows where you are, you don't see clients. And that's something that, and like a few hours before, I had a chat with somebody who's going to do some marketing trainings and trainings to add value to, or to add skills to hypnotherapists that they can need. The first training that she's going to do now, it's about making recordings. And one thing that I experienced during the years, when I put out the training in Belgium, I'm speaking of my Belgian students, when I put out the training, and that's not the next certificate on the wall that says that they know a new approach.
Right.
Not a lot of people are signing up, but then again, when they see me, they say, oh yeah, we have so much difficulties to find clients. I say, yeah, but I did there was a training on marketing, on how you can, and nobody signs up because it's not the next certificate on the wall. And
Exactly.
I think that's what I really like at conferences, that it's not all about therapy, that are like people like Jason and Lynette talking about business systems, and people that they say, okay, and because that's really important, and sometimes
really
people
is.
forget it.
And I mean, for a couple years, we actually had tax attorneys come to the conference and give lectures on like tax planning and how to set things up as a entrepreneur.
Yep. Yeah.
And people were like, why do you have a tax attorney at a hypnosis conference? I was like, because you should know this stuff.
Yeah, it's quite important.
I'd like you to keep your
you're
money
in
and not go
business.
to jail.
Yeah, that's quite important. Yeah, it's good advice. Very good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so when people want to get in touch with you, how can they find you? What's the
Facebook.
best way? Facebook. Oh.
I live on Facebook. If you want to find me, we obviously have the HypnoThoughts Live group on Facebook. Feel free to join that and hang out. But I mean, I'm easy to find on Facebook, and I reply to messages there pretty promptly.
Okay,
like I said, I don't check my voicemail, so that's
no, they can't call you. No. So I will put those details also from the HypnoThoughts Facebook group, a very interesting group to be part of. I will put that in the show notes so people can find information there about HypnoThoughts, and when they have questions about the conference, they I can. The only advice that I can give. Go and visit conferences when you're a hypnotherapist. You will learn so much on those conferences. You will get great context. You get friends for life at conferences. So I think that's really important also to grow your business and to learn new stuff. So.
Yep.
So Scott, thank you very much. I hope to see you in Las Vegas in August, if the world is opening and we are allowed to fly to the United States. I will be there, and because I'm really looking forward to spend some time with the family and have a great time with a lot of hypnotherapists, because I love all this online stuff, but I want to do something live real soon. Exactly. I want to see real people in front of me. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.